All right, so today, if you didn't know, Pastor Dustin and I started a new series called Deep Cuts. Do you guys know what this is back here? Shout out what this is. Cassette tape. Okay, so we heard that cassette tapes are kind of cool again, right? For the record, I'm not old enough. Cassettes weren't really my genre. I was more CDs, but still of an era where you had to physically buy music, right? When I was your age, I had to physically go out and buy music. We were just talking about a couple weeks ago about how we used to go to the Northwestern bookstore and like you could listen to the CD at the bookstore, right? You had to like scan it and then it would like come up and you could, different time. Wasn't just dropping at midnight on iTunes and you could just get it or Spotify, wherever you get your music. But so deep cuts, what we're talking about here, this is a series, a deep cut. So as we're talking about this series, we realized that this might not translate super well to some of you guys because now you listen to Apple Music or Spotify and you just listen to like playlists, right? You don't listen to albums. Even if you don't go out and buy a physical copy, you can still get an album and listen to all of the artist's music, not just the chosen songs that are on a playlist or a top 40 station. So those are hits, right? If it's on the radio, that's a hit song. That's their single. That's the one that they're promoting. That's their big song. A deep cut is a song that's on the album but doesn't get all the radio time, doesn't get all the attention. It's not like their big hit, but you secretly, like you love it. You're like, this is a deep cut. Like, this is good. This is not their main hit. Some of their deep cuts might even be better than their hits, right? So that's what we're talking about, deep cuts, forgotten stories. So what we're talking about is Bible stories that you might not know, or maybe you know it, like you've heard it at one point, but you're not like super familiar with it, or you've kind of forgotten it, right? Forgotten stories. Sometimes there's a song that you hear and you're just like you totally forgot the song exists, but then you're scrolling through your phone and you're like, oh yeah, that's a good song. I forgot about that one. So that's kind of what we're talking about. So the story that I am talking about today is in Luke 19, verse 1 through 10. We're talking about Zacchaeus. So I think most of you are at least familiar with the story of Zacchaeus. Are you guys familiar with Zacchaeus? Yeah? Okay, if you don't know the story, and maybe if you haven't heard it, so I remember hearing it in like kids' church, like when I was a little kid, and I don't know if I really remember the point. I just remember that he was short, and I guess like because I was a kid, I was short too, so but I was like, but what's the point? Like, what do I do with this? I want to talk about the story, and I want to, even if you're really familiar with the story, I want to maybe give you some different context on what this story spoke to me about, right, when I read this story. But in order to do this right, okay, I want to kind of retell this story. We're gonna do a reenactment with a song. How many of you guys know the song that goes with this? The Wee Little Man. So that's the title of my message, Wee Little Man. If you know the song, Zacchaeus was a wee little man, right? So if we have the song to play, I know Grace volunteered to help lead this. I want everybody to sing along. Caleb, can you grab the ladder for me? So we're going to reenact it. I need at least like 10 of you guys to just come up here and help me reenact this story. Somebody come help me do it. There's no lines. It'll be really easy, I promise. Kenny, come on up. Come on up. Just come on up. If you want to help reenact this story, I just need I need more than that because there was a crowd. If you know the story, there was a crowd. I need a crowd. I need Jesus. Kenny, you're Jesus. You're going to play Jesus for me. You're going to come over here. Put the ladder kind of off to the side here. I need more people. Guys, come on. There we go. Come on. Okay. Come on up. There we go. You guys are the crowd. You guys are the crowd right here. You're part of the crowd. Okay. I need, who's taller out of the two of you back there? He's a little bit taller. I need you. What's your name? Roger? Okay, Roger, you're going to play Zacchaeus, okay? So you got to come over here. Just because you're the smallest, don't take it. It's okay. We were all smallest at one point. You're younger. You're going to be Zacchaeus. We don't have a tree. I tried to, like, bring one from outside in, and they were like, no, it's too messy. So we don't have a tree, but we have a ladder. So what I need you to do is come over here, Roger. Now, don't act as a counterweight. Yeah, thank you. Safety. Talia, we're being safe. And we're not going to climb too high because we don't want anyone to get hurt. Safety is important, right? I know, she's making sure. That's why Talia, she's not interested in the story. She just wants to make sure that I do this. She told me so many times. It's not even like he's climbing a ladder. Like this isn't, okay, Talia, we'll be okay. All right, so we need you guys to stand in front here, and Jesus stand right here. And okay, you ready with the song? Do we have it back there or no? We do? Okay. All right, play the song, and Grace, stand. You don't have to come up here, but you got to sing along because I know you know it. If you know the song, sing along, okay? Do you want the mic, Grace, or no? You guys know the song? I know you know it, Jack. Talia, you know it. Sing it. So this is a wee little man. So Jesus is walking past.
And he said, Zacchaeus, you come
down. So he's in the tree, and you say, come down. I don't know. Come to his house today. Is that what he says? I don't know. I don't actually know the song that well. Where'd Jocelyn go? She knows the song. So you come down, and then you and Jesus walk over there, go to Zacchaeus' house. All right, give it up for the actors and the singer. That was great, right? You guys all know what happened? All right, thank you. Talented actors, give it up for the actors, the singers. Big performance. I know some churches, my sister's church down in Tulsa does a huge Easter production every year with thousands of people, and I think this rivaled that. I hope we got that on video because I think Victory Church down in Tulsa, Pastor Paul, I actually went to school with Pastor Paul, so he's watching this. I think this was just as good as your Easter production. I think you guys did a great job. So thank you guys for doing that. In case you didn't actually follow along with what was going on there, that probably went about as smooth as I expected. Let's read those verses together so that we actually know what's going on. So if we can put up Luke 19, verse 1. So Jesus entered and passed through Jericho. Now behold, see like that acting, right? Behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus who was a chief tax collector, and he was rich. Next. And he sought to see who Jesus was, but could not because of the crowd, for he was of short stature. Say short stature. Or a wee little man, as the song says. Next, so he ran ahead, climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was going to pass that way. So that was the ladder, right? He climbed up, sycamore tree. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him and said to him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must stay at your house. Think we got more? Verse 6, so he made haste and came down, did what Jesus said, and received him joyfully. But when they saw it, they all complained, saying, he has gone to be a guest with a man who is a sinner. Then Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, look, Lord, I give half of my goods to the poor, and if I have taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore fourfold. Is there more? And Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost. How many of you guys have heard this story before? Yeah, a lot of you have heard it before. And like I said, I heard it. I remember hearing it in kids' church. But I don't really remember what the point was of this story other than the fact that he was small. And honestly, I think there's more to that. So as I'm reading these verses, there's a few things that stick out to me. And so I got 3 points from this story that I want to share with you guys just quickly, right? So the first thing that happened in this story is that Zach got out of the crowd. I like to call him Zach. We're friends. We're close like that. Zach got out of the crowd and climbed the tree because he wanted to see Jesus. So sometimes in your life, you're going to need to disrupt your life to see Jesus, to experience Jesus, right? Sometimes we just get so stuck in our routine and in our everyday life that we miss God. Like honestly, and it's not that God is hard to find. It's that you got to be intentional with your relationship with him. And so what I want to encourage you to do is to sometimes disrupt your life a little bit to experience God. Sometimes you get so stuck in routine, and sometimes it's even good things, right? Maybe you're serving a lot, maybe you're giving, maybe you're doing good things, but you can get so busy and focused on the things that you miss God. Even, honestly, even as someone that works at a church and serves here, sometimes I can get so stuck in what I have to do, the work I have to get done, that I miss what God is doing through this building and through these people, right? It's not the building, it's the people. But God is doing some amazing things at this church, but sometimes because I work here, I get so focused on the work that I have to do, and I forget about the ministry that's taking place, right? Even good things, right? I remember if you guys were here for the Align series just a few weeks ago, I talked about focus, and God was saying, what do I need to focus on? Not that everything's necessarily bad, but you need to remember what you're focused on, because these other things can just distract from what God has for your life. That's one of the main reasons that summer camp is so powerful. I told you guys, if you were here last week with the seniors, and Aaron is one of them, all three of them, we didn't tell them to do this. We just said, you got a couple minutes, share the impact that God has had through this youth group, and then some words of wisdom for the next classes to come. And all three of them said summer camp was huge for me. Summer camp was and there's a lot of reasons why summer camp can be great, but one of the big reasons is because of this. It disrupts your life. It takes you out of your element, away from video games, TV, social media. Hopefully you don't have your phones with you. If you do, they will get taken. You're not allowed to have cell phones. Maybe some of your friends, maybe some of your family, your job, whatever it is, whatever is distracting you, again, can be great things, but a lot of times they're distractions from truly experiencing Jesus. So Zacchaeus says he was a wealthy man. He was doing all right. He could have kept living his life, probably would have been okay, right? Would have had successful by most people's eyes. But what Zacchaeus did was he realized that what this world had to offer him wasn't enough. And he heard about this Jesus guy and said, I have a chance to see the Savior, to experience Jesus. And he did, right? So I'm going to give a quick example. Jack, do you have the football? I just put it like by your seat. Can you bring it up here real quick? If you don't like football, if you don't understand football, if you're sick of me doing sports analogies, then you just don't have to listen right now, okay? You can tune out for a second. It's fine. Or you can listen and try to learn something. But this is just a real quick analogy. This helped me. Maybe it helps some of you guys. I need a couple people. Can I just grab you two right here? Yeah. All right, Kenny, I know you're a defensive back, so I'm going to let you play defense here. You're going to be on offense. So this is something you're going to guard him. So switch around like this. So there's something in football called a back shoulder pass. So a back shoulder pass, and I'm hoping we can execute this properly, but in a back shoulder pass, what you do is normally a receiver goes out for a route. You want to lead your receiver. You want to throw it ahead of them so they can catch it as they're running. But sometimes the defense is so good, like Kenny is, very good defender, he's going to be in position. If I throw it, so let's kind of run, pretend like you're going to run for a route, just real short, just kind of go. If I try to throw it up like this, Kenny's only got one hand. Can I throw it? Are you going to hurt your hand? Kenny will knock it out, right? So what we do instead, and I thought about using a video example, but the problem is Aaron Rodgers is like really good at these. And so all the videos I found was Aaron Rodgers. And I'm like, I'm not going to show you Aaron Rodgers. Sorry, guys. I know he's not even a Packer anymore. Not going to do it. So I can throw a back shoulder pass as good as Aaron Rodgers. It's fine. So what we do on a back shoulder pass, so instead of running straight, now pretend you don't hear this, Kenny, because you're going to well play it. But instead of keep going straight, I want you to stop and kind of come back. And I'm going to throw it to your back shoulder. Does that make sense? Okay, so go out like you're running. We can do it like kind of half speed. But then stop, come back, and I throw it to his back shoulder instead of going straight out, okay? It's a back shoulder pass. And what that does, thank you guys. Give it up for them again. Again, if you don't know football, doesn't make sense to you, that's fine, ignore it. But if this helps you, because this helped me, sometimes to get what God has for you, you got to move. You got to do something different. You can't keep running straight on this. Even if it's good things that you're doing, you got to disrupt your life a little bit. It doesn't have to be huge, right? I'm not talking about something crazy, but sometimes just little things. Summer camp can be a big thing. Maybe it's a social media fast. Maybe you need to delete TikTok just for a day, 24 hours, and see if God can speak to you. Maybe it's coming to church more, right? Maybe that needs to be a regular thing for you. Maybe your routine in the week isn't to come on Wednesdays, or you come Wednesdays and not Sundays. Maybe you should come back on Sunday. Maybe it's when you're in the car, you listen to worship music instead of whatever else you listen to. Again, maybe it's not even a bad thing, but just listening to worship and giving that time to God. Maybe for you, disrupting your routine is sitting in silence. I was talking to somebody about that the other day. But sometimes there's just so much going on in life, right? We talked about how we never have to be bored. We live in a world right now, I can pull my phone out and scroll through TikTok, Instagram, whatever, at any point in time. Maybe to disrupt your routine, you come home from school and I know you don't have school, sorry to bring up school during the summer. Come home from your friend's house, and instead of honestly going on social media right away, you just sit and you just allow God to speak into your life. It's changing things, disrupting things in your life to allow God to show up, to move, right? That's what Zach did. The second thing from this story is that Jesus saw Zach. And I say this because we serve a God that sees us. We don't serve a distant God that's out here over there, that's up in heaven, sitting on a throne trying to judge us. We serve a God that's close, a God that sees us. And I think a lot of people right now feel unseen. They feel unheard. And I just want to encourage you that God sees you. Whoever you are, wherever you're sitting, whatever you're experiencing in life, however you think you're seen or not, the creator of the universe sees you. He knows you and he loves you. Like, think about that for a second. The creator of the universe knows you personally. He sees you and he loves you. Think about that. Like, honestly, a lot of times right now, people feel unheard and unseen. But God sees you. And we don't serve a distant God that's out here. We're not trying to, when we pray, we're not trying to reach heaven. It's not a big struggle. He's right here. He's close with us, right? The other thing about this is Jesus is our example, right? When he walked on this earth. If Jesus took the time to stop and see Zacchaeus, then we should too. We should stop and see people. And I say that again, we live in a time where I think a lot of people don't feel seen, don't feel heard. And I don't know if it's because of the technology or the social media or whatever reason it is, we're all just too busy with our own things that we don't see people. But so many people right now, so much of this, the mental health crisis, whatever you want to call it right now, is because people don't feel seen and people don't feel heard. And what Jesus did is it wasn't just that he waved and saw him. He looked him in the eyes, he called him by name, and invited himself over to his house. Maybe don't do that. Don't invite yourself over to other people's houses. But he saw him, he said his name, he made a connection. And I'm going to encourage you all, and I think I say this every service, but people are so important to God. And if you want to care about what God cares about, he cares about people. He cares about you, but he also cares about the people in your life. So how can you see the people in your life? How can you know their names? He knew, I don't know, I mean, he's God, I guess. I don't know how he knew his name. Maybe there was a conversation earlier. I don't know. But he said his name. And that's so important, and I want to encourage you guys. That's one thing that, and honestly, I'm going to give you all permission right now. Call me out. If I don't remember your name, if you've told me your name before and I don't remember it, which is probably going to be quite a few of you because I don't know everybody's name in here yet, but call me out on it because I want to know people's names because there's something about looking someone in the eyes and saying their name. And I don't think we do that enough these days. And I might sound like an old man. I'm not bashing social media. That's literally my job here at the church. I work for the social media department. We have an opportunity here in the youth group. And we don't have huge numbers, right? The service is more people here on Sunday morning. They might not have the opportunity to know everybody's name, but we do. We have an opportunity here. I have the opportunity to know all of your names. You guys can learn all of each other's names as well. I just think that's such a huge, I'll say humanizing thing when someone knows your name. And so I just want to encourage you to see people, to hear people that maybe are overlooked, maybe aren't being seen, right? Yes, in this youth group, there might be people that sit by themselves, not because they want to, but because they don't really know people here yet, right? And now if they're an introvert, maybe don't overwhelm them, all of you at once. But but invite them to play a game, right? A simple thing. Ask them their name. Get to know them just a little bit. Here, that's what I want to see here, right? We talked about the vision for this youth group, but really just in your life too. Like when you check out at Target, can you look the cashier in their eyes? And don't be weird about it. Don't be like creepy, but like you just point to him like is he weird about it? Does he do that? He does that? You do that? Tristan? You look them in the eyes and like make it a weird thing when you check out at Target? Okay, don't make it weird, okay? But see people, and often the people that are overlooked, right? Like the people in society that might get overlooked, people that might be different than you. Take the time to see them, to know them, and to love them, because that's what Jesus would do, right? The third thing is that Jesus ate with Zach. So Jesus spent time with sinners. We know that, right? People ripped him. People got mad at him. They're like, oh, that guy's a sinner. But Jesus did that all the time, right? Jesus often spent time with what they call them sinners. You can say non-believers, people that are living a different life than you, believe differently than you, think differently than you, act differently than you sometimes. That's so important that, yes, we should surround yourself with a community of Christians. Like, that's huge. Jesus ate with sinners all the time, but he was constantly surrounded by the 12. It's very important for you to have that community of believers. But if we as Christians, like, just stay over here and do our own thing and never talk to unbelievers, how are they ever going to find Jesus? How are they ever going to get saved? How are we ever going to change any lives if we're just doing our own thing over here? So it's very important. It's very important to Jesus, very important to me, that you reach out to people that think differently than you, and you love people that are differently than you, and you still do life with people, and you're going to have to, right? At school, at your job, your family, there's going to be people in your life that are different than you, that think differently than you, believe differently with you. It's important to still love them, to still dine with them, to still have conversations with them. But there's one thing here. Jesus, it doesn't say what they talked about. It doesn't say what Jesus and Zacchaeus talked about. But it does say that Zacchaeus was like, I'm done, I'm changed. He wasn't greedy, he was giving away his money. He left a changed person. So when you spend time with, I'm not gonna say sinners, because we're all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, except for his grace. But non-believers or people that are living maybe a different lifestyle than you, it's important that when you have conversations with them, they're the ones that leave change, not you. And I say that because it can be easy if you're constantly hanging out with the wrong people, you're going to end up acting just like them, right? It's just going to happen. So it's important that when you are intentional with these relationships, that you're intentional about what conversations you have, what things you do, what places you go, right? And it's important that you still have that Christian community that you can lean on, that can support you. But when these people ate with Jesus, they left change. And I think it's important, one, that we do that, but two, that we understand when we spend time with Jesus, we leave changed as well. So if you're trying to evangelize to somebody or share the gospel with somebody, remember, it's not your own goodness that leads them to repentance. It's the goodness of God. I'm not trying to talk about how good I am. I know my flaws, but I know someone who is good, and I know Jesus. And so the idea is to introduce them to Jesus so they can experience Jesus. Because an experience with Jesus, which is not technically my fourth point, I had 3 points, but my fourth point, if I'm going to add another one, is when you experience Jesus, your life is changed. When Zacchaeus just spent one evening with Jesus, having dinner, we don't know what the conversation was. I think, honestly, they probably were intentional about leaving out the exact conversation, but it's spending time with Jesus, experiencing Jesus, your life is changed. So when you take the time to disrupt your life maybe a little bit, do something different, maybe it is come to camp, and you experience Jesus, your life has changed. You are not the same. It's not our job to try to talk to somebody and convince them these points on why they should convert to Christianity, but maybe just invite them to church and let them experience Jesus. Or maybe let them experience Jesus through you. You can be we're all called to be like Jesus. When you're spending time with these people, let them see Jesus through you. Be the kind of person that Jesus was and allow them to experience Jesus through you, because it's that experience with Jesus that's going to change your life. The important thing, we're not saved by our works. The Bible doesn't say here that Zacchaeus gave away all his money, and then Jesus was like, okay, now you're different. Now you're accepted. Now you're a Christian. No, because of the time with Jesus, he was moved to give stuff away. So maybe you have something in your own life that you need to get rid of, right? He's got a sin of greediness, obviously, like stealing from people. But if there's something in your life, don't focus on that sin. Don't focus on the problem. Focus on Jesus and allow the experience of Jesus, allow him to wash you clean of that, right? People like to, you've heard the expression, I got to clean up my life before I come to God. No, that's not what it's about. You come to God and allow him to clean it up. I love this analogy. Years ago, I guess God dropped this in my heart, but I don't want to bring up snow. It's so nice out right now. It's not nice. It's smoky. But in the winter, when your car gets covered in snow, now some of you guys don't drive yet. A lot of you guys probably don't drive yet, so it's not a perfect analogy. But your car gets covered in snow, and you should clean the whole thing off. Most of us don't. But you clean off just enough so you can see. And then as you drive, you let the snow come off. Don't do that. It's bad. It's mean to the people behind you. But God told me that's what it's like with God. If you're trying to come to God, you're trying to come to Jesus, experience God, you don't have to have your life all figured out. Just start moving in that direction. And as you pursue God, don't worry about all that stuff. It'll fall off. God will take care of all that stuff. And the faster you go, the more passionately you pursue God, the faster that stuff will fall off, right? So Zacchaeus did not have the intention. He didn't say, hey, Jesus, if I give all my stuff away, will you come to my house? Jesus came to his house exactly how he was. And then that experience with Jesus changed Zacchaeus, and he didn't want to live the life that he lived anymore. And I'm saying this to you guys because I know that even though you're all good church kids, probably don't have anything wrong in your life, never made a mistake, but maybe there is something in your life. But also to encourage you, if there are people in your life that need to experience Jesus, remind them or show them that this is how it happens. You experience Jesus first, and then Jesus takes care of all that stuff. And you don't need to worry about that stuff. Because an encounter with Jesus will save your life, will absolutely change your life, will absolutely make a difference in your life. And I think that's extremely important. So if you need an encounter with Jesus, if you have not, let's just say, encountered Jesus in a while, right? You've been living your own life, not taking the time. I want to do that today. I just want to give you, it doesn't have to be a big thing, right? It doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can be something small. I want to encourage you to come up and talk to me. We'll have some other leaders maybe up here that you can talk to and just say, hey, I've never experienced Jesus before. I've never invited him into my life. I promise you it will change things. But even if you have before and you're like, it's been a while, talk to the leaders. We'll have some of them up here. Not that we have anything, but we just want to talk to you about Jesus. And I want to encourage you, whether it's here, you can experience Jesus in worship, but even at home, put on some music, worship, quiet time alone with God. That experience with Jesus will absolutely change your life. And I'll give another plug to summer camp. Absolutely life-changing. And I'm telling you, even if you just go to hang out with your friends or to play the games, which I promise you are going to be good this year, right, Noah? Me and Noah have been working on the games. It's going to be some fun stuff, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But just experiencing Jesus in those services will absolutely change your life. So I want to encourage you guys, make time in your life to experience Jesus. Sometimes it might take a little bit to get rid of the distractions of your life. But I want to encourage you to experience Jesus.